guys, and good evening. I hope you can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up if you can. Drop a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right. Thank you for joining in a good time. We will buy some time as we wait for people to join. In the meantime, feel free to engage me on the chat. Let me know where you're joining me from and what you're expecting to learn from today's session. As we wait for more people to join, just let me know on the chat where you're joining me from and what you expect to learn from this session. All right, hi guys. I can see we have good quorum, so we can get started. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host tonight. My name is Grace. I handle community management here at Zindua School. It's a pleasure to have you all on call. I will read a couple of comments. The people who have engaged me on chat. We have Jamiel, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, joining us from Nairobi. We also have Annette joining from Buruburu. She says that she wants to reduce the time I spend arguing with ChatGPT when it doesn't get my prompt right. Valid. Our facilitators for the day are on call. I'm sure they can hear you. And then Joel says he's joining us from Westlands. Thank you for tuning in, Joel. We have Lisa from Kasarani. Thank you, Lisa, for tuning in. Your date from Ethiopia. Thank you, Yodit, for tuning in. I am interested in learning more about AI and data engineering, and um, I'm here to learn more about the workshop, I believe. Thank you, Yodit. You'll learn more about AI shortly. We also have Lydia joining from Riru, always eager to learn from experienced people, especially on AI. Thank you for tuning in, Lydia. And we have Emmanuel joining us from Bombay. We also have Gabriel joining us from Kakuma. Thank you, Daniel, for joining in. And Emmanuel as well, eager to learn about AI. You are on the right place. So let me see. Okay, before we start, I want us to play a game. As usual, I give something to my winners. So strive to be the best because you'll be winning something. I want to reveal it right now, but once the game is done, I will let you know what you'll be winning. That's the link. Just click, and then there's the code. So I will be checking if I'll start it once we have at least 10 people who've joined. A reminder, I will be awarding the top 3. So be sure to get among the top 3. So click on the link, should redirect you to the game, and you should start interview. So I'm waiting for you guys to join the game. Just click on the link and put your code. So I'm gonna share my screen. I hope you can see my screen. Just click on the link on chat, put in the code, and then we can get started. I need more people. 1, 2, 3, 7. Once we get to 10, I will start it off. So 3 more. All right. To save on time, I will just start it off. You can just click on the link and join. I will be awarding the top 3. So strive to be among the top. Let's go. The leaderboard is live, so you can see who's leading as we go. For those just joining, we are playing a game. Top three get an award. We will know what the award is once we are done with the game. So you can go to wayground.com. This is the code for you to join. Two more minutes for me to stop the game. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. All right, I'm going to end it so that you can see our leaderboard. For those who have not completed, I'm so sorry. Wow. Congratulations, Emmanuel, Kim K, and Wendy. I'm not sure if that's what you've named yourself on call. But this is what the winners are getting. We have a masterclass series this month. For the top three, you're getting a 10% off for the masterclass. I will be reaching out in a few to let you know more about how to redeem your discount. Without further ado, I want to hand it over to Mercy. I believe she's on call.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Hi everyone, and welcome to Prompt Engineering. Let's have some fun together. Just give me a sec. All right. So a little bit of to get us started, right? Let me preface by, of course, introducing myself, and then start by making it clear what prompt engineering is, of course, and why we need it. So I'll be the first to admit I use AI for everything. I am a shameless AI user. I even use AI for my CV. I use AI, maybe not so much for my social media, but you can absolutely, actually, I do use AI for my social media. I use AI even to vibe code, and I use AI even to do simple things like emails. And I'll be very open and I'll be the first to admit that AI has penetrated every domain in my life. And I'm sure it's the same for you and for many, 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 many others. Now, prompt engineering, or rather, how AI models like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, or Kimi 2.0, and all that good stuff. These models, we call them large language models, and how you can think of them as a really, really expansive library of knowledge. And for you to get the most out of this expansive library of knowledge, you need to be able to talk to it, or you need to be able to communicate. I don't know if I'm sharing my. Okay, just give me a second. All right, sorry about that. So, as I was saying, these large language models, you can think of them as expansive libraries of enormous knowledge. And for you to get the most out of them, you have to be able to communicate with them in a manner that, so you can get the most out of them. And that's the history of where prompt engineering came. We had the amazing researchers who came up with the mathematics behind these incredible models like ChatGPT. But, you know, how do you actually capitalize on the knowledge and the amazingness of these models? You have to learn how to communicate with them. So they, 6 years ago, this title of what a prompt engineer is, that's what popularized it. It became a specific role, and the role of this specific person was to figure out what's the best way to communicate with large language models so that they can actually give us what we want, right? And that's pretty much what prompt engineering is all about. It's all about, how do I talk to AI so that I actually get the output that I requested for. Like Annette said, to avoid the constant back and forth between you and ChatGPT, between you and Claude, between you and Kimi. And that's pretty much what we're going to do today. So today is going to be an absolute hands-on workshop. We are going to take prompts that we got from you and other people who registered for this webinar, and we're going to take those prompts and 10x them. So these are prompts that I came up with. These are prompts that came from you guys, and we're going to actually apply the techniques and the methods in order to improve the response from those prompts. So without further ado, let me introduce myself. I am a data scientist and a technical mentor here at Zindua. I'm a big fan of AI. People will say AI is taking jobs, AI this, AI that, AI that. I'm like, AI is great. All we need to do is we need to learn how to live with AI and learn how to increase our productivity. I'm a really big fan, rather a really big believer that if you use AI properly, you will 10x your productivity. I have used AI as my learning buddy. I have used AI as my strategic thinker. I have used, the only thing I do not endorse using AI as is as a therapist. All right. But in all other domains, absolutely chat GPT your way through it. Also, I'm a part-time vibe coder. I know vibe coding is very heavy on the software development side. I'm not a software developer, I'm a data scientist. But anytime I need anything that requires a front end, I will always go to my chat GPT, I will always go to my Claude and vibe code my way through it. So what are you going to learn about today? Like I said, this is an absolute hands-on webinar. So it's not just me giving you a presentation and telling you, these are the different types of prompts. This is what makes a prompt. I'm going to teach you what makes a good prompt, and then we're going to build good prompts brick by brick, all of us together. So my expectation is that we're going to keep this absolutely engaging. And if I call upon any of you, please feel free to just unmute yourself and, engage and give me feedback. All right. So we are going to talk about what prompt engineering is. We're going to look at the 5 core elements of what makes a good prompt. And then we're going to take your prompts that you shared with us here at Zindua, and we're going to make them better using the principles we've learned. About that, I have a toddler, so anyway, where were we? Yes. So we're going to be taking your prompts and we're going to be making them better based on the techniques and the methods or the elements of what makes a good prompt. And then we're going to announce something super exciting that we're doing here at Zindua for the month of June, in our effort to lower the barrier of entry for AI, right? So there's this notion that AI is a young people's game, and because AI has infiltrated each and every domain you can possibly think of, each and every industry you can possibly think of, we think like AI literally, or rather AI literacy skills should be something that every citizen or anyone who's interested in AI, or pretty much anyone, should have. Okay, so what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is basically the process of designing and refining instructions, right? So the text instructions, the way you communicate with ChatGPT, the way you communicate with Claude or Kimi, you communicate via text. So prompt engineering, we call these text instructions prompt. So prompt engineering is basically how do you finding out the best way to communicate with ChatGPT or this large language or generative AI models in order to get very high quality output that is not only accurate, but it is specific to your needs, right? So why does this matter? Why is it important? So it's very important because the way you choose to communicate, we can have the same inputs. We could use the same if we are using chat gpt to, let's say, prepare for an interview, or we're using chat gpt to make an application for a job. We could have the same job description, and we could have the same cv, and we could upload these inputs into chat gpt. But depending on the prompt you give it, you two people can get completely different outputs from ChatGPT. So learning how to communicate, or aka learning how to prompt generative AI models correctly, it ensures that the model gives you an output that is meaningful and coherent, right? So it helps mold the model's output. And then it also ensures that your outputs align with your desired goals. Again, like Annette said, you when you do not have the basic skills in prompt engineering, you will find yourself going back and forth a lot with ChatGPT. Change this, change that, change this, change that. And keep in mind, not until recently, but I think if you're on the free tier, the longer your chat is, right? Unless you're paying for memory, ChatGPT doesn't store memory. And it's something I know most of you have noticed. The longer your conversation with ChatGPT, the poorer or the worse the output it gives. It because ChatGPT, unless you've paid for it, does on the free tier, it doesn't offer a lot of persistent memory, right? So it's a good idea to learn prompt engineering so you can get it right the first time. Next, it reduces extensive post processing, right? You tell ChatGPT, I want you to do this, but it's not quite right. Then you tell it, I want you to change it this way, change it that way, change it this way. It's quite tiresome, right? And people get frustrated with ChatGPT and think that Chat, or maybe even Claude is better, or Kimi is better. Minus the benchmarking metrics, or what makes a good Gen AI models and the differences between the two, you can still capitalize on Chat GPT if you improved how you talk to it, right? And that's what you're going to be learning here today. So let's get straight to it. What are the 5 elements of a good prompt? And it's all about what can you do today, right now after this webinar. What can you do today to absolutely 10x the output from any generative AI model that you use? So the first thing that makes a good prompt is context. So you have to give your LLM, you have to give your ChatGPT the proper context. And context is all about the background and information or data your LLM, your ChatGPT, your Claude should consider. And this is very important, is because it prevents hallucinations and it ensures that you get a better output. And let me illustrate the importance, or let me illustrate the concept of context using an example. So for example, you are a HR, and you have an empty role that you want to fill for a data analyst. You could go to ChatGPT and just say, write me a job description for a data analyst, right? What's missing here? The LLM doesn't know what this company is. The LLM doesn't know how many years of experience. The LLM doesn't know the salary range of this role. So context comes in to fill the gaps. If you do not fill the gap, if you were to give ChatGPT this exact prompt, write me a job description, it's going to hallucinate the company, it's going to hallucinate the salary range, it's going to hallucinate the industry, it's going to hallucinate the data, the job requirements, etc. So you'll end up getting a very bland and generic template of a data analyst job description. Now, if I give it context, I give it background information and data. A good prompt would look something like this. Write a job description for a data analyst joining a 10-person fintech startup in Nairobi. You've already given context, background that it's in Nairobi. You've given it context about the industry. You've given it constant context about the staff size. We need somebody comfortable with Python and messy real world data. Tone should feel modern, human, and not corporate. You see, you can even incorporate your company's culture, right? If your culture is more fluid and you do not use corporate speak in your external communications, you can make sure that your LLM or your ChatGPT aligns exactly with that company brand and that company communication tone, right? So context gives you background. If you do not provide context, let me tell you one thing generally about ChatGPTs and your Claude and your Kimis and all this generative AI models. They will never tell you I don't know. They will fill in the gaps with the wrong things. So to avoid such a scenario, what you need to do is close all those gaps. Anything that is not clear, make sure you articulate it clearly. And these 5 components or these 5 elements of a good prompt is the mental framework that you need to always have that will help you narrow and close those gaps that could lead to your model filling in unnecessarily or coming up with hallucinations. So that's context. Context just give the model background information. The next one, the next element that makes a good prompt is explicit instructions. Please be very, very particular with what you want your model to do. If you want it to summarize, say summarize. If you want it to read and give you bullet points, say read and give me bullet points. If you want it to critique, so the key thing here with, if you want to know if your prompt is following this element of a good prompt, if you want to know if your prompt is actually explicit, always look for verb words. Summarize, strategize, what's the word I'm looking for? Analyze. Look for verbs. If your prompt doesn't have verbs and verbs that are explicit enough, it's not clear to the LLM. And what will the LLM do? The LLM will fill in its own gaps. Let me make it make sense using an example. So for example, if you do not use explicit instructions, you can say something like summarize this report. But a report can, summarize it in 2 pages, in 4 pages, using bullet points, using a numbered list, summarize it based on a particular angle. What exactly do you want the LLM to do for you? And name that explicitly. All right. So a good prompt would write this instead. So summarize this report in 5 bullet points. Each point should be 1 sentence. Write for a non-technical manager. Start each bullet point with the key takeaway word in bold. And with that, whatever output the LLM gives you, you can literally copy paste it to your boss. All right. Now, the next one is role assignment. Who should the LLM be? And this is actually one of, many people know how to give LLMs context. Many people at least know how to give it explicit instructions. They just need to go a little bit deeper in the explicit instructions. But if there's one element of a good prompt I do not see often, it's giving your model a role. Remember, these LLMs are trained, imagine they are trained on the data that data from the entire internet. So data from all the thousands of websites, data from all the thousands and millions of databases. So like I said, these things carry immense knowledge, right? All this knowledge, if I was to write a prompt of write a blog on climate change. There are a million blogs on climate change that discredit climate change. There are another million that are proponents of climate change. what role do you want this model to play? And this role alignment, it's all about when you, it's the one thing that can really genuinely 10x your prompt. And the reason why role alignment is important is because it's like giving your model a persona, right? So let me give an example. An engineering professor is going to critique um, a topic in the engineering domain very different from, let's say, a chemistry professor. So when you give your model a persona, right, you kind of like each persona carries it carries its own implicit, we call it implicit knowledge. Implicit knowledge is what a history professor knows is absolutely different from what like a journalist knows. Each persona has depth. It has a certain depth of knowledge. There's a way a history professor communicates. So there is tone and there is frame of reference. And this one is one that a lot of people miss. And you can have the same exact prompt in all other elements, but if you have a different persona, right? You say this one is a history journalist and maybe this one is a history professor with 20 years of experience, you are going to get absolutely different outputs. And you can think of it as giving your model a persona, and each persona carries its own depth of knowledge, carries its own tone, like how it communicates, and it carries its own frame of reference. All right. A good example would be, give me feedback on my presentation. You're going to get very surface level feedback. You're going to get very surface level notes. But when you tell it, act as a tough but fair TEDx speaking coach, right? TEDx is a very common, like, public speaking, like, different speakers across a million industries come and give talks. So act as a tough but fair TEDx speaking coach. Just from there, you've already given your ChatGPT a persona, and the persona now ChatGPT now takes. So the tone ChatGPT will take, the frame of reference ChatGPT will take, and the knowledge and output ChatGPT will give you is based on a TEDx speaking coach. So it's going to be very direct, it's going to be very detailed, etc, etc. Absolute banger. If you are not doing this, try it today. You're going to see amazing results. And then we have output specifications. Output specifications is a little bit you'll find resources online that don't have output specifications as an element of a good prompt, but I am a big proponent of telling your LLM, do you want it in a PDF? Do you want it as a slide? Do you want it as a markdown? Do you want it as a JSON? Just specify the exact output. And the main reason for this is because for me, it's about quick use. If I want code, tell it you want code in Python. If you want the code in Python to look a certain way, tell it exactly how you want it. If you want bullet points instead of a numbered list, tell ChatGPT, right? And for this, you might have the other 4 elements, and this is just like icing on the cake. And for me, this is about speed of use, right? I want to move from output in my LLM, and I do not want to copy paste it somewhere and start reviewing or changing something that was numbered. Now I'm putting bullets. No, I want my LLM to give me exactly what I want. And you can add that extra layer of specifying specifically the format in which you want your output to be. A good example is here. I use my LLM to teach me topics, right? Because in AI, you kind of need to read very widely. 6 years ago, we were talking about prompt engineering. After 3 years after that, now the guys who are being paid thousands of dollars are called context engineers, right? So prompt engineering evolved into context engineering, and that's a story for another day. So I use, when I need to study something quick, right? Or I don't have information about a particular industry and I need to have that information in under 2 hours, I always go to my chat GPT and I prompt it and I say, I need you to create for me a 2 hour work plan to allow me to understand A, B, C, D. The outcomes of this work plan should be in after 2 hours. I have understood 1, 2, 3. Let me give you an example. If you do not put output specifications, it would look something like, teach me how to code in Python. And ChatGPT will hallucinate. Okay, it will not give you wrong input, right? Hallucinations are wrong input, but prompt engineering, the aim of prompt engineering is not only to avoid hallucinations. That's an absolute big reason why prompt engineering is important. But another reason is sometimes ChatGPT and these LLMs can go on and on and on. You asked it a simple question and it gave you 5 pages, right? A good way to avoid that is just tell it, give me in 5 bullet points, give me a page that is 300 words, etc. So for me, if I wanted it to teach me Python, I'd say create a comprehensive weekly study guide on Python programming, break down each week into digestible topics. You can see I have specified what it should do for me. And the last element of a good prompt is add constraints and boundaries. Like I've just mentioned, ChatGPT can really go on and on and on. You can ask it something super simple and it will give you um five, okay, not wrong information, but irrelevant, and we call that over explaining, right? It over explains. ChatGPT and these models also have a tendency to play it safe. If you are in this call and you're a content creator and maybe you use your ChatGPT to maybe write for you blogs, you'll notice ChatGPT tends to play both sides. It says however, nonetheless, but it doesn't take a position, right? We call it, it has a tendency to play safe. So a good way to handle that is to give it constraints and boundaries. Just give the model the limits of the task. A good example would be write a cold outreach email to a potential client. It will write a very long email telling, including there, this is my name, we met here, these are the products I'm selling, this is why we're a good fit for your business. And maybe you do not need all of that. A more focused and a more productive way of improving such a prompt would, in order to produce something more relevant and useful, would to say write a cold outreach email, maximum of 80 words. That's giving it a constraint. No opener pleasantries. That's giving it a boundary. Lead with their problem, not my solution. Boundary, boundary, boundary. All right. Now, we move on to the fun part of this webinar. The fun part of this webinar is we are going to take prompts given to us by you guys, and we're going to make them better and we're going to make them best. All right. So the first, I don't know if there are questions at this stage before we do the live demo. Any questions? I have a question on how. All right. Okay. So, Joel will answer your question at the very end. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's take this very simple prompt and let's make it better. So majority of us, we typically ask ChatGPT to help us with an interview or to, I think I should actually open ChatGPT. Let me see. And share this tab instead. Right. So we're going to try and make it better. So majority of us already go to ChatGPT and we ask it to prepare CVs for us, we ask it to, do our LinkedIn strategy. And it's a given that a big task for ChatGPT, I know, is interview prep. So let's go ahead and use the same prompt, which was help me prepare for an interview. Let's see what it gives us. Prepare for an interview. I think right off the bat, can anyone, just 3 or 2 of you, just quickly, can you identify what may be wrong with this particular prompt, or even preempt the type of response that ChatGPT is going to give us? We can have Joel give us, and maybe I'm just looking at these names on my screen. So Joel and Maureen, what do you think is wrong with that prompt? Or anyone on the call, just unmute yourself and just go for it and say what's wrong with the prompt. Good, Maureen, there is no context. So what type of context should we give this prompt? Right? So let me go for it. So the prompt has no context. There's no role. So what you're going to expect as an output from this is that ChatGPT will have to do the heavy lifting. It will have to guess the job. It will have to guess your level. It will have to guess the industry. It will have to guess everything. And what it's going to happen, it's going to give you very generic advice that you can pretty much apply to any role. Right? And that's not very helpful to you for your interview prep. Right? Let's just see how that looks. Let's see. Now, the good thing about the new models and improvements is that now they'll start like probing you, right? They'll start probing you, But even when they probe you, they still don't do things like give you they can probe you for context, so you're going to like handle the context element of a good prompt, but you're still missing out on the constraints and boundaries, you're still missing out on the output specifications, you're still missing out on the role alignment, etc. Now let's make that prompt 10 times better. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to assign ChatGPT a role. What role should I give it? I am going to say, you are an experienced, should we say career? Yeah, let's give it a career coach, right? You are an experienced career coach who has helped hundreds of, let me say I'm a graduates land top roles in land roles in top tech companies. Are you seeing the amount of context I have given it? Right? Not even, let me not, no, this is me doing role assignment. Are you seeing how I have situated the model? The model is a career coach who is experienced, that is one. Not only are they an experienced career coach, they have helped hundreds of graduates, right? So this person is experienced in helping people who typically don't have experience interviewing, land jobs in top tech companies. Another thing I must also preface is sometimes when you are doing your role assignment, it doesn't have to be a job title, right? Don't make that confusion. Role assignment can also be like personality traits. You are a happy camper, or you are somebody who is always giving, loving. You, provided you kind of create a persona for the model to mimic, that is also considered role assignment. So don't feel pressure to say you are a teacher, you are a doctor, you are a career coach. It's role assignment is not necessarily job titles. Okay, so you're an experienced career coach who has helped hundreds of graduates land roles in top tech companies. That's my role assignment, right? Let's go to the other elements. Let me give it context, right? So I have an interview in 3 days at Safari PLC for the role of a data science intern. Data science intern. I have no years of experience and I am a graduate of what have I done there? I have given the model context. So, you're supposed to even give the model context even before you move to asking what you want to ask it. Think of context, think of the element of context in a prompt as if a consultant comes to your company and you've hired a consultant to help you figure out how to penetrate the Kenyan market, all right? They don't just come and give you a presentation and they say, do this, 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 this. They come in and have a conversation with you, right? And they build background information about you. And that's exactly you should be doing. So give your model a role, give it context. Even before you tell it, I want you to do this and this and this for me. Always give it background information. All right. So we've done role assignment. We have given it context. Now let's give it specific instructions. That is element number 2, explicit instructions. Let me tell it exactly what I want it to do. I want you to help me prepare for my interview in the following areas. Tell me about yourself. Help me practice. Sorry, forgive me for any spelling errors. Help me. What's very common in interview questions? Help me practice. Yeah, let's say 5 behavioral questions and give me the answers in the STAR method. For anyone who doesn't know the STAR method, that's how you ace behavioral questions in interviews. Give me 2 questions that I should ask in the interview. Related to emerging topics in the company's industry. All right. Are you seeing I've given it a role, I've given it a persona, it's a career coach. I've told them I have an interview in how many days? 3 days. So it can even come up with a work plan for me to come up with, to prepare for my interview. I've told it what role I'm interviewing for, in which company, and what my background is. And then I've given it specific instructions. I've told it, I want you to help me figure out how to answer, tell me about yourself. I want you to help me answer a couple of behavioral questions. And I also want you to help me figure out what questions I should ask them. All right. Then we have done, those are 3. Those are role, that's role, that is context, that is explicit instructions. Let's do constraints and output specifications. So constraints, let's say keep the tone professional and no generic interview advice. really help me stand out and even ask me follow-up questions to help me unlock my unique qualities. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at qualities. Help me unlock my unique qualities, right? And then let's say if you make any assumptions about the industry or company, please name them specifically. Right, and this is something I usually like to do with all my prompts. I say, especially when I'm using AI as like my sparring partner, right? I have an idea and I need somebody to counter my idea and I need somebody to debate with. I always tell it, any assumption you make, name the assumption that you've made, right? Because AI has a tendency of sounding very, very confident, even when it's not. So I usually tend to add that as a little bit of sauce to all my prompts. I always ask the AI, if you make any assumption, please um, explicitly name it. So like it will come out in the output. So let's give that a chance. We have given it a role, we've given it context, we have given it specific instructions, we've given it specific instructions on how the output should be. It should be professional, it should be that sort of thing. And there you go. Something as boring as help me prepare for an interview, it will give you step by step. So many graduates make the mistake of telling their life story. You look at that. Why should you see it even tailors the output to the mistakes that graduates make? Because I've given it the context that I'm a graduate. If I remove that context that I'm a graduate, it would probably give me something different. So if I said I have 10 years of experience, oh dear, I'm on the free tier. If it says I have 10 years of, if I said I have 10 years of experience, even the answers it gives me, you see, at the graduate level, you are the whole point of an interview is to communicate that you're trainable, you're flexible, you're adaptable. At 10 years of experience is you're a visionary, you're a leader, you are bold, you're strategic. You get what I mean? All right. Now, if you follow those 5 prompts, you will write better emails. You will actually write blogs using AI without anyone knowing that they're AI. So anytime I read a blog and it has that AI feel to it, I know this is a shortcoming of prompt engineering. If you prompt AI properly, right, you can absolutely hide the AI-ness, right? And it's all about really honing down on the specific output you want from it. Now, in the interest of time, we're gonna keep it moving, but that I hope that example is sufficient, and more on that in the coming slides. All right. So I'd like to announce that officially June is Zindua's Generative AI Month. And the reason we got here is that, like I explained earlier, AI, just the same way when the mobile phones came out, and we did M-Pesa, there was a whole drive for digital literacy this, digital literacy that. I guarantee you that the conversations right now in industry is AI literacy, right? I've told you, AI has permeated in all industries, in all domains around the world. So we're no longer talking about digital skills, we are now talking about AI skills. And we feel strongly that AI skills should be just like, as passionate as everyone is about digital skills and, permeating digital skills, we also want to permeate AI skills. But there's this idea that AI is just for techies and AI is just for da, 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 da. But the reality is, AI is for everyone because it's everywhere, whether you ask for it or not. It doesn't knock the door anymore. It's in each and every industry. So it's your best placed. I think I love this saying, and I love and hate this saying on LinkedIn, that your job will not be taken it will not be replaced by AI, but it will be replaced by somebody who uses AI, because it just maximizes your productivity. So, given that now we're moving to the age of AI literacy skills, we feel like the barrier to entry for AI needs to be lowered so that majority and many people can get AI digital skills or AI literacy skills. So, equip yourselves with AI. So, June is our Zindua AI generative AI month, and in that to that effect, we are hosting a series of Gen AI fundamental courses, or we're calling them Masterclass Series. So on the 20th of June, we're going to be hosting a masterclass on Claude Cowork. I'm sure you have, if you are on social media, you have seen Claude Cowork, right? Claude Cowork, you can think of it, you see in ChatGPT, the easiest, most simplistic way I can explain the difference between ChatGPT and Claude Cowork is ChatGPT is very conversational. So ChatGPT can't execute anything, right? You ask ChatGPT something, it gives you a response, and you go back and forth, but ChatGPT cannot execute whatever you have agreed with each other. But Cloud Cowork allows you to do that. So this is for guys who your software developers, your automation enthusiasts, that kind of thing. We're going to be hosting a masterclass as well on Cloud Cowork. Then, of course, we can't miss AI agent fundamentals. We are going to be talking about LangChain, LangGraph, Llama Index, how to actually build, train, prompt an AI agent, as well as deploy AI agents in full live production environments. And then we are going to close, and that will be on the 27th of June. And then we are going to close with workflow automation with A10. So bringing it all together, you're going to learn things like Docker, right? Containerization. And don't worry about these big terms. I promise you, they are, it's very simple, and the way we've structured it is for anyone, whether you have a tech background or not, there is absolutely a space for you to learn here. People are making money just off of NA10. Those chatbots you're chatting with on WhatsApp, they have been deployed. I think the last time I went on Instagram, because my generation, we buy a lot of things from Instagram and we buy a lot of things on WhatsApp. I don't remember the last time I spoke to a human, and majority of those chatbots that you talk to on WhatsApp or on Instagram are usually built on NA10. So NA10 just is a low code platform, so that I'm telling you, the barrier to entry for NA10, you do not need to know how to code in any language. You do not need to learn how to code in Python, Java. It's literally drag and drop. You do all this, you build your agent, you build a whole automated workflow, an agent that can reply to emails, an agent that can RSVP for you to events, an agent that can, a customer service agent. You build this by literally dragging and pressing buttons, right? So A10 has made the process of creating AI agents and deploying them really, really simple. So we're going to also have a class on that on the 11th of June. And I really, really hope to see your familiar faces there. So I'm just going to hand it over to Grace. Unless there's any questions, I would like to leave it there. I don't know if there are questions for me. I'm going to stop sharing, and back to you, Grace. Grace. All right. Any questions from anyone? I don't know if you can hear me. Am I audible? All right. Annette, can I hand it over to you?
Technical issues. Thank you so much, guys, for joining our session on prompt engineering. It was very insightful, even for me. I do create a lot of content, so sometimes when I'm writing scripts or trying to give context, I end up having like a mini argument on GPT. So this was very insightful. I think there's a question from Joel that we didn't address. Uh, the last one. I don't know if you can see it, Mercy.
Maybe he could ask it again.
Okay, so he had asked, how are organizations applying prompt engineering in production systems beyond chatbots? Are there examples involving payments, trust systems, compliance, or workflow automation?
Yeah, I think for workflow automation, I have seen that personally. Remember, what is prompt engineering? Like beyond a chatbot, what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is giving specific instructions, right? So I don't know when you say beyond chatbots what you mean, because I mean, for involving payments, trust system compliance, or workflow automation. Even in workflow automation, aren't they deploying a chatbot? Joel, I think maybe elaborate. Okay, so I think another example I've seen in like in the data side, I have seen, I think beyond chatbots, I have seen automated data pipelines, right? You can absolutely have a data pipeline that moves data maybe from the source where it's generated. Let's say it's generated maybe on Twitter. You move it to your data lake or your data warehouse. And then on top of your data pipeline, there is an AI LLM that, so you've seen those companies where you can quickly message an LLM and say what were the sales for quarter 2 or what were the sales for quarter 1. So it's like an agent that sits on top of your entire data pipeline, right? So that's the one use case I have personally seen of prompt engineering outside chatbots, right? But technically, the interface is still kind of like a chatbot, but it's an LLM, right? I don't know if that's what you're asking. Are you asking like the diversity of use cases of prompt engineering beyond chatbots? Is that it, Joel? Oh, okay. So yeah, for workflow automation, I've definitely seen like automated data pipelines where like it's embedded with an large language model, right? So the prompt is like a transformation step within the data flow. Okay, that's right. That's what I've seen. I haven't seen anything in M-Pesa integrations or like in compliance.
Okay, I don't know if Chris, you can hear us. Okay, if not, just to conclude on the session, as Marcy has mentioned, we'll be having our AI month this June. So that will be a masterclass series of 3 starting on the 20th. And then we'll have individual masterclasses tiered. And you can click on the link that has just been shared. I'll just share it again. So if you do buy the bundle of 3, you'll pay slightly cheaper than what you'd pay for individual masterclasses. All details have been linked there by Grace, and we're really hoping to see you soon. This is just a precursor for what you're about to learn. So imagine if you've learned all this in an hour, what you'll be able to gain in the 3 masterclasses. So guys, without wasting more of your time, thank you so much for joining this call. We really hope to see your registrations and applications soon, and we'll see you in class. At least now we have a nice physical location you can come at, and we'll see you soon.
My network buffered for a while, but I will be sharing all the details on email first thing tomorrow morning. All the details, but be sure to join our masterclass series. You have a still if you take it as a bundle, but if you want individual specific masterclass, we also have that specific option. Thank you for tuning in to today's session. I hope you learned something. I will be sharing the recording as well tomorrow morning in case you missed a chunk of the call. But that's it from us tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Looking forward to see you on the masterclass. Kindly give a round of applause to Mercy for taking us through the session. It was very insightful. Help me appreciate her. Can just drop clapping emojis or the confetti emojis. Thank you, guys. All right, Jacob, kindly you can DM me on the Zindua number. I also have a coupon for you. Then there is one person who dropped. So Elizabeth Wanjiru, if you're still on call, you can also feel free to DM me for the coupon because some of the winners dropped way before. So Jacob and Wanjiru, kindly feel free to DM me with the Zindua official number. That's it from us tonight, guys. Have a good night. Looking forward to seeing you in the masterclass. Ciao.